Good afternoon, friends. Well, today I'm on another epic journey. It's Saturday, and I know that this video won't actually come out until Tuesday, and I've got a lot to do yet. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks back I went to a swap meet at Gilmore Car Museum, and there I actually made a connection with one of you. Actually, a person that I consider a friend now, that I met that was on YouTube, that watches my videos, that saw me out in the wild and was like, "Hey Rocky, I know you." And we ended up talking and chatting, and I looked at his motorcycle. He has a Survey car. I have a Survey car. Happen to love those. I think they're awesome. They're a lot of fun to ride, and they're just neat machines that you don't see out in the world. Well, through that connection, we started talking about motorcycles and parts, and he had said that he had some parts that I may be interested in. So today I'm in the car and I am on a 2.5-hour drive to head out to check out these parts. Also, he has a little shop at his house with his motorcycles and vintage cars, so we talked about doing some filming. And I plan on interviewing him and, talking to him about his collection and his lifestyle and all that good stuff. And I figured I would bring you guys along. Something I've been looking at doing or thinking about doing is interviewing folks, talking about their motorcycles, their history with motorcycles, how they got into it, things like that. And this is my first person that I'll be interviewing. I'm a little nervous about it because I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to go. I have an idea in my head how I want it to go, but we all know how those things come together. Now, personally, I come from a speaking background. I have had many years in a group called Toastmasters, and that group has helped me to become a better public speaker. I've also done a lot of theater in life, so being in front of a camera or in front of an audience is not a big deal for me, but I know it can be a big deal for other folks. I know I can stumble over my words as well, and I hope that I don't. But anyway, we're gonna journey on down the road. I'm gonna hit the road for another, like I said, 2.5 hours, and when we get there, we're going to start filming his shop, and then I'm gonna buy these parts, hopefully, and then we'll bring those back. Anyway, catch you in a little bit. Back in the shop after a nice long weekend away. One of the things that I had lined up was what's laying in front of me. Now, I did go down to see my friends as well. We had already talked about a deal and making a purchase. My buddy had some extra parts laying around that he wasn't going to use. Obviously, I'm a sucker for a good project, and this thing kind of really fits in my wheelhouse. So I figured I'd kind of run you guys through what I picked up and then talk about future plans and give you some of the whys. Every good project starts somewhere, and I have in front of me what I feel is going to be a pretty good project. So we'll start off with engine cases. What I've picked up is a new Panhead. I have a 1951F, so this is a low compression model. I've got the left and right case halves. There's the left side. There is the right case half. These things are in amazing condition. They don't have any repairs. They don't have any breaks, no damage. I'm not seeing any issues on these. I am going to go ahead and clean them up so they look a little nicer. And of course, with that, I do have some pretty awesome finned covers. These are the pan covers themselves. I do have stock original Panhead covers too. I'm not sure what direction I'm going to go with those yet. Of course, I've got some gaskets here. I do have a set of cylinders. One is a 1952, and the other, that was the front, and the rear is a 1950. This is the rear here. It looks like they're about 60 thousandths. That's where they're measuring at. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get these sleeved or what I'm going to do with them, or if I'm going to run them at 60 thousandths or even try to maybe bump them up to 70. I'm not exactly sure yet. I did get a bunch of smalls with it. Got crank pin, probably replace that. I also have I'm not sure what that is. I know it's a little twin style crank pin, but it's super wide, so I have no idea what that really goes to. I'm going to take some measurements and figure out what that is. I don't think it's Sportster. I don't remember Sportster ones being this wide. This is quite a bit wider than your big twin crank pin. We got lifters, got a cam. I believe this to be a stock cam. have to find the number on it. It's kind of got a wide duration on it, so maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Got the breather element. I've got 4 sets of pistons here. I have flywheels. So these are a 150 408. It looks 403, excuse me. I've got the one side here, and this is a 1955 flywheel. So some of this stuff isn't really matched to the engine. These are all an amalgamation of parts here. I do have a front pulley for belt drive. This is a later model, so this is a shovel head style. It's the spline shaft, so that's probably not something I'm going to run on this project. Something I'll hang on to. I do have the proper clutch basket. I do have the belt drive electric start clutch basket. I've got a couple of transmission sprockets, various sizes here, 25 tooth and probably a 23 tooth, 22 tooth. I have the correct front sprocket here. This one's not in terrible shape. That's probably a 22. I don't see a number on it. Probably 22 tooth. Got my idler gear, my oil pump timer gear here. I have a pretty nice cam cover here. I don't think this is original. Maybe it is. Got to clean these things up. I see that there's numbers on the inside, but everything's kind of dirty. And all these parts will get a bath today. I have an intake. This is a Munch Choppers, Chicago. Never even heard of it. M-U-N-C-H Choppers. Never heard of them. Thought that was kind of unique. I've got part of a generator. I don't have the rest of the generator. This is the only part that I have, so I'm going to set that in the keep pile. I do have a 4-speed transmission. I haven't looked at the date code on this yet, so I'll try to figure out what this is. It's like a 58, so it's an A8 trans, so I'm assuming this is 1958. So this is a later model yet. This is not a 51 transmission. And that's okay. Again, this bike is not going to go back together as some period correct show queen. It's going to go back together as a rider, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I have a very nice outer primary cover. I do believe this to be original. I do not see any markings on the inside, and based on how it's built, I believe this to be an actual stock one. I don't think this is aftermarket. I could be wrong, but I think this is real. Looks the part. Got my other pan. And of course we get into cylinders. It's a 1956 is what it says. This is a rear. And it looks like in fairly good shape. Obviously, as you can see, everything needs to be cleaned. All these parts are here and they're all kind of gross, so they'll all have to be gone through and cleaned up. We'll get them in the parts wash today and start detailing some of these things. Here's the front head. Got a couple chip fins on here. Obviously, it's dirty. Again, we're looking at some of the grime. The intake nipple here is busted on the bottom side, so that's going to have to be addressed. Obviously, all these things are not going to be perfect. It's a project. It's going to be a bike that's going to take some time. And from there, we've got this pretty sweet engine stand. This is something that came with it. It's a home-built job. The points here on center are not perfect, so I'm going to have to go ahead and fix those. And I'll probably reinforce the weld on this so I can actually use this and put an engine on it, not break it. I have an additional electric start clutch basket. The other flywheel, this is a 150/40. This is also a 1955. So I believe these are matched because this is a 255, A255, and this is a A255. So those work together. Those are actually a matched pair and they do fit together. Those will have to be cleaned up. I also have a bucket of parts. This is kind of cool to see. I've got a shovel head, oil pump here. I have lifter blocks. I have both of these. Unfortunately, they're both busted. This one's busted here and the other one's got one of the tabs broke off. So I'm going to look into replacing these. I don't have the parts to fix them, so I can't even get them fixed. So I'm going to replace those. I do have a chrome outer for an oil pump. I do have the body here. I don't believe I have all the oil pump gears. I do have some bearing cages and things like that in here. Lots of little screws, nuts, bolts, things that, you know, come with these types of projects. You buy these parts bins, or you buy a project like this from a guy, and sometimes they know what they've got and sometimes they don't. My buddy had bought this from somebody else, and all of this stuff came together with it. Then, of course, from there, we have our set of pistons, which I believe were ran in this engine. These are a 60 over piston set. Yeah, they both say 60 over. These are a stock big twin. They fit the bore real well. Everything measures out real nice. The bores on those actually have a good crosshatch in them. I know you see some wear on the pistons here. I'm not sure why this engine was taken apart or what's going on with it or how any of this stuff was ran. Obviously, the cylinders themselves are different year from the engine cases, and the heads are a different year, and everything's kind of a bunch of parts. From there, I've got primary chains. I have 3 of these. I've got 2 or 3 sets of push rod covers. Here's that other push rod block here, or excuse me, this lifter block here. And as you can see, it's busted on the edge. Unfortunately, and that's starting to break on that edge. I don't have either part. I'll probably just set these aside for now, but I'm going to look into replacing these. Then I have my 3-finger clutch hub. This thing's rusty. It's in kind of rough shape. It's been welded on like crazy on the back. So this I'm not going to do anything with because this is not in good shape. I've got a few of these laying around. I may switch it out to a 5-finger clutch hub. I'm not sure yet, but I know I'll be replacing that as well. Here's many of the parts laid out and kind of on display. And looking at it, you're probably wondering, why in the world would I buy an engine and transmission for a project that's a long way from getting done? And to answer your question, because I'm a hoarder. Now, I've got a lot of parts here, and some of them are probably correct and some of them probably aren't. And I'll figure that out as I go. But I do have a seat, and I have a pogo, and I have a front end, and I know the bars are later. They're 1960s Panhead bars. I do have Star Hub wheels, and I have more wheels in case these ones aren't the right ones. I do have the front brake. I have the headlight. I have an oil bag. Not exactly sure if that's the right one or not. I also have the fuel tanks. And you can probably see on those tanks that they've been repaired, and someone has gone and taken off the badges and then made them smooth. So I'll probably have to address that to put the badges back on if I'm going that route. I'm not exactly sure just yet. Now I know for sure I need a frame. I don't have that. I also don't have the rear brake. I may look for more period correct bars, and I might put actual like original Panhead pans back on this bike. I know I need a kicker cover. I've got one somewhere. I've got a bunch of ancillary small parts as far as floorboards go and foot controls and probably everything I need as far as small parts to put this thing together. I'll need wiring, a frame, a rear brake. I have the brake crossover for this. I need time, and I need, obviously I need a frame. So what is the next steps for this project for now? Obviously, I'm not going to work on this right now. This is not something I have time for right yet. It is something that's rolling around in my brain, and I love it, and I was able to broker a deal on this, and it made sense for me to buy it and hang on to it until I can work on it. The next stage is going to be cleaning the engine up, loosely assembling it, and it's going to go sit in my showcase in the front of the shop here. It'll be a showpiece for a little while. I've got 2 other engines in there. I've got pea shooter engines that are in there, 1 transmission for either one of those, and I've got a myriad of parts laying around. I also do have the correct linker carburetor for this too, so I probably will run a linker on it. Just thinking through the things that I have as I'm talking to you guys. But for now, I want to clean this thing. I want to put it in the front showcase, and I kind of just want to show it off. Maybe next summer I'll start on this build, maybe not. I know I've got other projects in the works that I need to get to first. I know I probably should stop buying projects because that means I need time and I need money to put these things together. But sometimes, you think about what you have and what you want and the things you want to build in life. And sometimes you got to take that risk. You got to buy the parts when they become available and then hang on to them until you can actually work on the projects. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? What are your thoughts about this engine, transmission, and the parts that I have here? What direction do you think I should take this? I don't want to put this back together as a full restoration. Like, this is never going to be a 1951 Panhead per se. I don't want to chopperize it either. I don't want to put this in a chopper frame. I would like to find the proper wishbone frame for this, whether it be an aftermarket or an OEM frame. I'm not sure. Obviously something that's not raked out or crazy. I'm leaning more towards like the bobber aspect. You know, this bike came out in the 50s, how someone would have, maybe pulled some fenders off of it, put some different bars on it, maybe streamlined it a little bit, lightened it up. I don't know. I've got different things, rolling around in the old noggin here and trying to figure out the direction. But if you have comments on that, drop them in that comment section below. If you want to give me some insight or some thoughts or ideas, maybe something I haven't thought of, I definitely welcome that. Well, friends, I got a lot of parts to clean, so I need to get off here. So if you like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. I know it's a little bit of a short one today, but I wanted to show you this stuff. I'm super pumped about it. I'm thrilled to own it, and I can't wait until I can actually start working on this bike. I've never built a Panhead motor from start to finish, so this will be my first, and I'm excited to kind of dive into that. Of course, if you want to see this thing come together, or any of my other projects come together, hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot of things going on right now, and I continue to find more projects, find more parts, and work on these things as I can. So if you want to be involved with this, or you want to be up to date on what's going on, you're going to want to subscribe so you can see all the things happening. Well, friends, that's it for this one. We'll catch you next time.